Hi, what's up, y'all? I just want to create a quick little concise video on how to create the most angle for your car on a budget in the simplest way possible. So basically, I'm not a pro drifter. I am not a fucking 3D geometry science major, but I now understand the cheapest, best way to add angle to your car. So we've got a good amount more angle than stock, and basically all we have going on here is cut knuckles and rack spacers. The best way to add angle, the only way to add angle really, is to change the tie rod pickup point, because that's the only thing attached to your steering, or that controls your steering. So basically what cut knuckles do is it shortens the length of the tie rod pickup and makes it closer to the knuckle. So the original pickup is like this, and then it brings it closer to this. So it brings it closer to the center of the car, therefore lengthening the distance the tie rod travels. Then you have tie rod spacers, rack spacers, whatever you want to call them. That is what you're putting in between your tie rod and your rack, and it just spaces it out and basically makes the point where the tie rod attaches longer, so that way when you're at full lock, it's that much longer. Now this isn't going to make a huge difference, but you can get rack spacers for anywhere from like $2 to $20, so it's not a real expensive part. I paid $150 for my knuckles. I would say if you do it yourself, you can basically not pay anything, up to like I'd say $400, so it's not an expensive thing. I wouldn't let your buddy who just learned how to weld do it, because usually it's like forged steel. It's a little bit more difficult to weld than say an exhaust or something, and a little bit more important to the structural rigidity of the entire front suspension. Now once you've got cut knuckles and rack spacers on, you should have a good amount more angle than stock. Now the problem you're going to run into is hitting the frame. So at this point, there are a few routes. You can basically, smaller wheels are always going to help, smaller wheels and lower profile tires, because it's just a smaller setup in general. But a lot of people aren't going to want to do that because, you know, it's not cool to run tiny little wheels, or tires even for that matter. So at this point what you can do is either get real low offset wheels, which will space it out farther away from the frame, so that way when you're turning it'll hit less, or you can get big spacers, which essentially does the same thing, it's just slightly less legit, but as long as you're doing hub centric spacers, it should be a-okay. Or what I have on this car is E46 lower control arms, which is essentially the same as lengthening your arms, your lower control arms, which will give you more front camber, which is good for drifting. So that way when you're turning into corners, your wheel goes more flat, you have more control over the front end, and basically it puts the wheel farther away from the frame, which is all you want to do, is for more clearance. So what I'm planning on doing is getting a spacer, because I'm currently maxed out where I'm hitting the frame on the other side, where the front of the wheel is hitting the frame. And that's basically as good as you can do once you've got cut knuckles and as much rack space as you can fit safely. I would recommend looking it up to see what is safe for your vehicle. On E36s in particular, 5mm is considered safe, 7mm is considered stretching it. That's what I have on here right now. Then you're going to start looking at full kits and stuff, which is more efficient because it'll fix bump steer and stuff like that. Basically set your steering up to where it is the same as OEM or even better, except you have 70, 90 degrees of angle, whatever it is. This will get you going, enough to learn on, enough to shred on, you know. You don't want to be doing, you know, barely drifting. This will get you going without dropping $1,000 on a drift kit. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, like or comment, subscribe, turn notifications on, drop a like, drop a meme. I love comments, love reading them. So yeah, have a good one.